All right. You know what it is. You know who it is. We are back with another episode and the last episode of season 2 of the BG Reform podcast with my co-host, Coach Hugh Jackman. How are you doing? If you can't see the video, Jerry looks exactly like Hugh Jackman right now. He's got an open shirt with a chain and a tank top on. Nice beard, some grayish black hair.
I don't know if Wolverine. Well, old man Logan's got the gray hair.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very Wolverine like today. I don't know. Just had to do it. You know.
should have got some butter knives.
Wait.
Oh yeah, I know. he has what I'm thinking because I know he was Wolverine for Halloween one year.
Hey yo!
I forgot.
Let's go.
do the podcast.
second.
Do the podcast with the Wolverine claws in.
I'll do this.
It literally looks like Hugh Jackman right now.
All right, guys. So best thing about this season.
Love it. Halloween's right around the corner. It's a great time. Jerry's a huge slasher fan too. I actually have not watched any Halloween movies. I was talking to my client this morning, and I've been telling her for like the past week. So I think this weekend I have to. I think I'm either gonna watch Halloween or Scream.
Ooh, have you seen Scream?
Yeah, I watched them last year when I was in England.
Okay, nice.
I was doing nothing in England, so I watched all the Screams and the Halloweens as well.
Yeah, dude. The Halloween, the original, and 2018 are really the only ones worth watching. And then Scream 1 and 2 are actually very good. The new ones are all right.
Depending on Halloween this year, I'm trying to just figure out what the deal might be. I think I know who I'm going to be for Halloween if there is something for me to do.
Okay.
So
what are we looking at?
I'm pretty excited about it because I think it's going to be. I have to figure it out, the little details, but Kratos.
Nice.
I don't want to paint my body white though.
I
with
like it.
The red markings.
I
would
it.
Just need like a pair of sweatpants with some boots, and then like I gotta find the waist armor or the skirt, whatever you want to call it.
You could probably get like if you look up Scorpion's belt from.
No, I'll have to look it up.
You could probably find a God of War costume, but you're gonna do.
Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe that's what I'll do.
Black?
I'll look God of War. Yeah, I'll be the ginger beard, God of War.
Ginger beard.
Because I am not ginger. I have a soul.
Yeah, it's true. He does.
No disrespect to gingers out there, but you don't have souls. Anyways,
but let me just lay it out on the line for you.
Anyways, today we are going to be talking about the yearly coaching audit. Now, I think this is an important time. This is going to be the last episode of season 2, which is like the coaching section of the podcast for a little bit. And I wanted to end it on this because I really think this is like kind of a fitting ending to the season to discuss what it's like to really reflect on your coaching year and how to actually reflect on your coaching year. Because I think too many of us just focus on money as being like the decider on if you're doing well in coaching. And obviously money, you need money to live. You're trying to do all the things in life that require money, right? Like buy baseball cards. That's just me. Just kidding. But no, but seriously though, like making money obviously is like a huge goal for a lot of people, and rightfully so. Like it's what helps you kind of build your life and get you where you need to be. And I think there's so many other ways to find success inside of coaching. And I think that kind of conducting the yearly audit, how we want to talk about it this year, or how we want to talk about it in this episode, is going to be crucial for a lot of people to actually find success, not just like through the end of this year, but also through the end of, or the beginning of next year, and hopefully moving forward. Like when I first started really doing a yearly review, like in general, not even just like the personal training side, but like just in general about my life, was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And that's when things really started to kind of take a turn for me, and I really started to feel better and have direction and have purpose. and just really kind of reflecting. I still suck at it. I was literally just having this conversation the other day. Like, I suck at reflecting, and I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to be better at, having those moments where I go back to what I did and see like, hey, that was great, or hey, that could have been better. Or, going into something, understanding like what I actually want to come from a situation as opposed to just going and hoping it gets better, right? So I think that's really important. And I think today what I want to dive into is one, how I've used it, because I think, myself and Jerry have had a lot of changes over the past year, and especially like myself in regards to like what I was doing and where I was going, and why I changed. I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of insight on that, and how I think everybody can use this coaching audit to improve their own coaching, skills, and then obviously their coaching business. So, anything you want to add on top of that?
I think that this is going to be a really good episode to kind of pull everything that we've talked about this season. It's going to be I'm glad this is the last episode of the season. It's going to be a really good recap, but also we're going to have some cherries on top of I almost said on top of the cake. I don't want any cherries on my cake. On a Sunday, maybe. Yeah. But either way, it's going to be a good way to recap and add a little bit more flavor.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to start off with my story. Usually this is like a client story, but so I started off in May 30th. No, I'm joking. But anyway,
when I was born,
this past year was a very weird one for me, and I knew it was coming. I had a lot of things, or I'll say signs, that were pointing me in the direction that I knew it was coming. But at the end of last year was really like the first real time I did an actual like coaching audit. And the reason I did it was because I was struggling. I was not feeling good as a coach. I was feeling stagnant. All the things I've talked about really in this season of the podcast, I was feeling in the last year of coaching. And, where I was as a coach was in a situation where a lot of people, and I was literally told this, so many times, was, you have a dream job. I would kill to have your job. You have such a great setup, this and that, whatever compliment they wanted to throw in. And for me, it was always hard to hear, because during that time, like, yeah, I loved what I did. And there was portions of it that I loved, but there was also pieces of it where, as a coach, in my shoes, with my mindset and my purpose and my desire, I was struggling. Like, I was struggling very hard because I was so cooped up. I was like kind of put in a box. And, some people might look at what I was doing and how I was doing it and be like, oh, well, if that's what calling like cooped up in a box is, then, I'd love to be cooped up in a box. And like, I get it. And like I said, I enjoyed what I was doing, but the last 4 months of last year was like a really tough time for me mentally. One, because I wasn't able to really coach as many people as I wanted to. I was coaching one person really, consistently, and I would say semi-consistently. And as I was going through that, there was a lot of downtime. There was a lot of time to myself. There was a lot of times where I can only do so much like work stuff, right? And the place I was at was very small. It wasn't, there was one gym in the area and it was pretty packed, but wasn't really an opportunity for me to do much there. And it was just a struggle for me. And I think, when I looked at this, I kind of sat down and I started around this time actually last year, in like the October, November-ish area. And I really started looking like, what do I want my coaching to be, right? What do I want my purpose to be? What do I want my business to look like? What do I want all the pieces of my life to look like? And it was starting to add up that it wasn't what I was doing, right? And I had been doing it for almost 2 years at that point, which was the traveling and the coaching, the fighters, and that sort of thing. And I continuously had made really hard decisions through that process, right? When I first left home, that was something that I was like, hey, I need to do for my career. Then I left Nashville because I had a better opportunity in Florida. And then when I was in Florida, that's when everything kind of picked up. And then I left Florida to travel with Ian. And then towards the end of this, I've kind of come like full circle back home to really kind of like find myself as a coach again, because in that process of following people, essentially, and like trying to, work around these specific type of individuals, which is great, and you have to do that. I was really in a point where I was like chasing things that weren't actually like my purpose, and they weren't actually getting me closer to what my long-term goal was. And they were giving me a lot. They were giving me a lot of personal, you know, validation and personal growth, and I was getting camera time, I was getting interviews, I was on TV, I was in the corner with Ian for the fights, and it was great. And there was so many pieces of it that were like personally was like, wow, this is like a dream come true, right? Like I remember I told a story on Ian's last fight when he fought Shavkat. He or it might have been MVP. It was one of the two. He fought he if he fought Shavkat, obviously he lost. If he fought MVP, he won. We were in the cage going back and forth, shaking everybody's hand. I just turned around and Joe Rogan's right next to me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And he's like a little bit short, like he's not as tall as me. And I
Yeah.
just kind of like turned around and I just saw him kind of like making his way through to interview. If it was Ian, if he won, if it was Shavkat, if he lost, but
Yeah.
and it was just like those types of moments where it's like you're in an octagon in front of however many thousands of people. You're just looking up. You're watching the fight. You're sharing a corner with Charles Oliveira. You're training with Charles Oliveira. You're training with Damian Maia, and like all of that was so great. But like I still felt in my heart like my coaching wasn't improving, and my coaching was becoming stagnant, and I wasn't getting to the place that I wanted to be as a coach. And it was really hard for me because I was like, how can I let this go? Like, how can I let what I'm doing and this like dream job and this thing I dreamed of go because I'm not becoming a great coach and I'm not getting better at what I want to do. And obviously, it would have been very easy to kind of just like stick in what I was doing and continue to travel and continue to, work with Ian and do what he needed me to do. And, he's got a new fight now on November 22nd, and he's one fight away from a title. And it's like, seeing that is great, and I want him to be successful. And it's hard for me to, have to had to have given that up and step away from it. But in the grand scheme of things, like I have to worry about myself as a coach, and I have to worry about progressing myself as a coach, not just in the eyes of people who see me on TV or see me in the interviews or anything like that, but people who like come in contact with me as a coach. Because I really felt myself kind of like slipping from the peak I was at as a coach, where I was sharp, I was in the gym, I was being able to make certain decisions on the fly. I was having different bodies in front of me. I was able to see all these different versions of people that I was working with, and it was just a struggle, And I think when I sat down and I kind of looked at the coaching audit, I was looking at a couple things, and I think when I did step back officially and decided I was going to stay home, it was one of those things where I knew it was going to be better off for my coaching career long term. Maybe in the short term, it was going to be like a step back for two steps forward. But I truly believe, like, I have faith in myself. I have faith in everything that's going on in my life right now. I have faith in, the you know, in the direction and everything that's going on. In the coaching audit, and I'm gonna wrap the story up shortly. But in the coaching audit, what it really showed me was like coaching isn't just about money, and it's not just about accolades, and it's not just about these things, right? And I saw that when I actually sat down and looked at it, because a lot of my wins from the last 2 years had nothing to do with coaching. Like it had nothing to do with yeah, yes, coaching gave me the opportunity to like experience some of these things, but I wasn't getting like improving myself as a coach. My programming wasn't being challenged. My coaching style wasn't being challenged. My thoughts weren't being challenged. I was by myself. There wasn't a lot of coaches around me that were on my level to, not to say that like like being cocky, but like there just wasn't a lot of people who were head first into fitness like I am. So it was tough, and I really had to kind of like take a step back and see like, hey, is this right for me? And yes, this is amazing. Yes, this is fun. Yes, this is like the best experience I've ever had. But is this right for me? And ultimately, I had to decide against it because I didn't think it was right for me long term. And it was a hard decision. But like when we go through today and we kind of talk about those things, I'll kind of explain too, like where I saw it myself. But that's just where I was at. And I felt, if I was going to be successful as a coach and achieve my purpose and get to the point that I wanted to get to, I had to take a step back and focus fully on me and not someone else's schedule. Right. And yeah, so, Jerry.
Yeah, I think this year's coaching audit for me is going to be much different from last year's, um, which is also much, much different from the year before. There's been a lot of changes recently from moving to a new state, completely new city, and having zero contacts out here, zero anything. Just starting from scratch, working in a smaller gym. We talked about it. I was working at Crunch, and they're extremely dead set on selling you supplements that don't fucking matter. And very little knowledge going through the building. Few coaches, select coaches who are really good. And it was one of those things that I knew the pay wasn't good, which obviously we said money isn't everything, but when you're putting enough time towards something, you expect something in return, especially
Of
when
course.
you're on the top end of coaches at that facility. So I ended up going into the management role that I'm in right now, and I've learned a lot about managing and running a place, and the coaching side has it's stayed but taken a little bit of a dip compared to what it was before the management position. Obviously, managing a gym full time and with very little staff is a lot of the stuff falls on me. So a lot of my time is eaten up, and I'm trying to come up with ways to better myself as a coach for the next year to make sure that I'm building back up from where I was before switching into the management role. So I think the key point that I'm going to make here is that Brandon wouldn't have been able to make those changes, and I wouldn't be able to make the changes that I made or the ones that I'm planning on making if it wasn't for a coaching audit. If you can't step back and see where you're at, where you've been, and where you want to be, and write everything out and plan everything out, these things don't just happen. You have to take action. And without this audit, we would be just as lost or stuck as we were when we first started the audits and first got to these positions where we knew that we needed to make changes and we knew that something needed to happen, but we just didn't know what.
Yeah.
And this audit is truly the key to making sure that you're moving in the right direction, not just looking in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think it's like you said. I think understanding money isn't just the goal, because I think at the end of today you're going to realize, like, you know, if you just improve your coaching and like you look at this from a perspective outside of income, it's indirectly going to improve your income, right? And I think a lot of people forget this, because I think when we look at personal training, a lot of people are always like, hey, I just want to make more money. Like, I want more clients. I want this, I want that. And it's like, well, you know, you can either kind of what the video we used last week, which is like, you know, you can kind of sell your way to the top, or, you know, scam your way to the top money wise, but that's going to be a very short lived thing. Or you can actually earn it, and you can get really good results, and you can trust yourself, and you can sell like you actually mean it, and really enjoy your career, feel fulfilled, and at the end of the day, like, sleep well at night, you know? And I think for me with the coaching audit, you know, the biggest thing is like, how do you evaluate your coaching with, you know, without having to worry, well, not really, or just beyond income, right? How do you evaluate your coaching beyond income? Because, you know, if you can evaluate your coaching beyond income, there's so many different layers to it. And I think if you just look at income, it's like money in, money out. Like, there's just one thing. And obviously, like, that's not a bad thing to look at. But to me, you know, there's so many pieces to the puzzle for becoming a great coach. And if you look at it beyond your income, I'm going to give you like a couple now that I think are really important to improving, right? And me and Jerry are going to kind of like talk about them. But number one is client success, right? Are your clients reaching their goals? Are they enjoying training? Are they having fun? Are they leaving the gym and being like, hey, this was a great experience, I want to go tell other people, right? Personal success, you know, are you enjoying your clients? Are you enjoying your schedule? Are you, you know, enjoying what you're doing as a coach currently in your life? You know, are you pushing yourself to reach new heights? Are you, you know, trying to improve personally, or are you just trying to chase dollars, right? Mastery, are you learning new things? Are you improving your skills as a coach? Are you trying to figure out, you know, exactly where you need to be better? Because mastery, again, is an ever going process, and it's not something you're going to just reach. Because even when you are at that like pinnacle of, hey, I feel like I've mastered something, there's always something to learn, and I'm going to dive into that in a second on how, you know, I realize that as well. Are you feeling more confident in your programming? are you following your purpose? Do you even know what your purpose is? Are you feeling like you've plateaued as a coach? And really, are you reaching your own goals in training, right? Are you training yourself and are you reaching those goals? And, I want to dive into just quickly each of these because, I think they're really important. But is there anything you want to add to that before I dive in?
No, go right in.
So, client success, right? Like when your client comes in the door, are they getting what they said they wanted, right? If they want to lose weight, are they losing weight? If they want to gain weight, are they gaining weight? If they want to feel better, are they feeling better? This is the start of it. And like if you're looking at your coaching audit, and at the end of the year, you're like, okay, I had 8 clients and none of them got what they wanted. I mean, look at that, because that's a serious thing to have to talk about and look into as a coach. Is like, I'm coaching people and none of them are getting where they want to be, right? Probably at that point, you probably lost all those clients, or you're a really good salesman and you were able to keep them around. But, to each his own, however that happens. But with that being said, you have to understand, like, a client is with you to get to a certain point, right? As much as they love being around you, they want to do that and they want to enjoy training. So those are two things that you can look at as a coach and say, all right, out of all my clients, are they enjoying their training? Are they telling me they're enjoying their training? Are they having fun? Are they excited about it? Are they talking about it? Are they asking questions? And really, most importantly, are they reaching their goals, right? And it's as simple as that. Because if they're reaching their goals and they're enjoying training, they're going to keep coming in, they're going to keep paying you, they're going to keep showing up, they're going to tell other people, and the results are just going to speak for themselves. Anything to add to that? If there's anything you want to add to these, just butt in.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Cool. Personal success. And I think this is another huge one that gets overlooked. But personal success. Are you enjoying your clients? Just because you have clients that are good and showing up, and obviously that's what we want as clients, but like, are you enjoying the people that you're training, right? Because even from my perspective as like client success, all my clients were getting the results they wanted. They were winning. They were winning championships. They were getting ranked. They were having the biggest fights of their careers. They were winning in impressive fashion. They were, coming from, like, for example, I worked with one person who, before they start, and I'm not saying this is because of me by any means, but like, sometimes what I do is just the thing that unlocks a lot of potential in people, right? And I worked with somebody before who was on like a 3-fight skid, and then we started working together, and I was the only thing that changed, really. I mean, I guess she changed a little, like, well, not really, because her coach was her coach no matter where she went, but and she was on a 3-fight winning streak after. And it was just those little things where it's like you tweak those little pieces of physicality, of conditioning, of movement, of confidence in your movement, and you're getting what you need, right? But just because someone's finding success in something doesn't mean that you are actually enjoying it, and doesn't mean that you're actually having fun, or coming out on the other end of being like, wow, that was fucking stressful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead coming out on the other end and be like, that was enjoyable. Like, I really enjoyed that session. I really enjoyed that week. I really enjoyed the last couple months, that sort of thing. And importantly, schedule, right? It's like, I was dealing with this, like, probably the biggest hurdle of what I was dealing with the last couple of years was schedule. It was like I would have something planned and then the schedule would change. And then the next day it would be the complete opposite. And then the third day there would be no schedule. And then the fourth day we'd be traveling to a different country. And to the fifth day we'd be coming back to the same. And it's like, it's just impossible to find consistency. It's impossible to enjoy a schedule like that. Obviously, the novelty and the newness of all the stuff is really important, and like it makes it fun. But at some point, myself and everybody else included, you'll want to know, like, all right, can I wake up at a certain time? Can I do the things that I want to do and at a certain time? Not like, okay, I got to wake up and do one thing and then I got to wait to hear what we're doing next. It was exhausting at times. And I think that was a big part for me. And I think even for the people that have normal gym schedules, it's like, do you mind waking up early? If not, like, can you change your schedule to fit what you enjoy, right? Do you mind working? I don't mind waking up early, so I prefer to wake up early, get everything I need done, and then have the rest of my day to kind of work on the other things. So it's like, I'm able to build my schedule, fill the slots, do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, and have a very flexible schedule to like enjoy life, right? Mastery. I think this is, again, like, for me, not being challenged in some ways and not being, I wouldn't say forced to be better, but like when you are doing things in a certain way and they're working, you're like, hey, this is working. Why am I going to change this? Right. But one of the beautiful things I loved about being around other coaches more consistently and more often was that they were doing other things. They had different backgrounds. They enjoyed different types of training, and I was able to learn. When I was just by myself, just training MMA, just training the MMA fighters, there was no, difference in training. There was no difference in, the type of stuff I was learning or the type of stuff I was programming. And sometimes it just gets stale and you just need to change. And that's why initially I wanted to do a triathlon, but with the schedule again, that sort of thing, it just didn't, it messed up my training. We had to travel. There was things I wasn't able to do. And it was just, there was a load of things. But instead I did the half marathon, which opened my eyes up to a huge new like potential for training, right? Whether it was endurance training, triathlon training, different type of strength training, that sort of thing. But on top of that, I was like, hey, all right, if I want to get better at a certain thing, I need to find somebody who can help me get better at that. So I reached out to someone I've been following for a long time, who's a great coach, a very high level, smart coach. And I've been working with him for the past 4 months, and he's helped me tremendously with improving the quality of my programming, improving the efficiency of my programming, improving, my understanding of mixed modal training and endurance training. He's been helping me with the systems inside of the business, how I'm scheduling calls, what those calls look like all of it. And it was just a great way for me to kind of step into coaching and improve it on like a mastery level and in regards to just getting better, strictly getting better as a coach and not really ever focusing on like the business side of it. Right. And I think this is what we were kind of mentioning earlier is like, yeah, you can focus on the business side of it. You can try to make more money that way. But I truly think if you focus on like even these three things alone and not the other things I'm going to mention, your income and your business and everything is just going to continue to rise if you're consistent with it. Right. Anything to add to that?
Nope.
Cool.
I'm
Last
gonna
few
be,
things.
heads up, I'm just going to be muting my mic in a second.
Okay. Last couple things. Are you feeling more confident with your programming? Right. Like, are you able to see the progression in your programming? Are you getting more efficient? Are you seeing the flaws? Are you able to test certain things and see like, hey, that worked really well, or that didn't really work. I didn't like that. Are you putting out a program being like, yep, this is it, or are you putting out a program like, I don't know, like I'm kind of not really confident. Or I don't know what to do, and that's a big thing as well because that's being tested and tested and retested and then redone and refined, and you're going through this whole process. In programming is what we do, right? So it's as good as we can get, as efficient as we can get, communicating the stimulus and the result on the other side that we want to get. And that's why we do programming, right? And the last few things, right? Like, are you following your purpose? Like, do you know your purpose? Are you understanding of like what drives you on a daily basis as a coach? Are you understanding of when you wake up in the morning, what gets you out of bed, right? For me, it's understanding like if I want to be a great coach, I have to do the things that I need to do on a daily basis. And just the idea of influencing the highest standard of fitness is like my purpose, and that's my mission. I want anybody who comes in contact with me on the level of fitness that they get, or that in regards to personal training and fitness, they're getting the best version of themselves, best version of me, and the best version of my coaching. And again, am plateauing. Like I just felt certain times when I was traveling that I was plateauing because there was stuff that I was like, hey, I don't really need to kind of like look at this anymore, and I didn't. Or hey, this type of this type of setup for the program has worked the last 4 camps. Like let's just kind of leave it at this. Tweaking little things as we went, improving little things as we went. But there was always like that feeling of like, why would I change something if it worked? Right? Obviously, we're trying to get better, but one of the things inside of these fight camps is that you don't really have a lot of time to try new things, right? And you can say that like, hey, as a coach, I want to try new things. I want to try new things, but like, you're not trying new things when your guy is fighting for the number one contender spot in the world. You're going for what works. And if you say otherwise, you're either just speaking out of your ass or you're just trying to be like a contrarian. Like if you know something works in a setting like that, you do what works 100% of the time. Maybe 10% you try some new stuff, but when it comes down to it, you just don't have time to waste. And in that, there can be plateauing because you don't have to change anything and you don't have to kind of like look at things differently, or you just kind of go and you kind of fall into the same habits. And I didn't really fall into the same habits. I always wanted to try new stuff, but I felt like because of the environment I was in and like the type of programming I had to do to like make it work, it was always kind of like I was digging myself out of a hole with the programming, right? And then realistically, the last part is like, are you training yourself? And in your training, are you reaching your own goals, right? Like for me, like I said, the triathlon was something I really wanted to do. It just didn't end up working out. And I ended up switching that for a half marathon, which I completed. And I'm going to be doing another half marathon in about 5 weeks or 4 weeks, I think. So I'm really excited to kind of like continue to push myself on that end and training for something new. And that's it, you know, and those are kind of like my pieces of like ways you can evaluate your coaching outside of just your income. And I think it's really important to kind of look at all that stuff. But anything to add?
Yeah, those last 2 points, bringing it together. I think that if you do want to try new things and you're realizing you're plateauing, kind of stepping back and looking at the reason you think you're plateauing, whether it's your programming, whether it's your skill set in a certain area, whatever it is, you can use your training as the guinea pig client. Like you are your client to test things out with, unless obviously you got a half marathon coming up and something that's like right ahead where you're kind of in those, I guess, peaking moments where it's right before competition. Obviously that's important to keep the same and structured, but if you are trying to learn new things, program a certain way, try new movements, try new splits, whatever it is, you are your own guinea pig for that.
Yep.
So if you feel like you're plateauing and it's your programming, switch up your programming. If you feel like you're plateauing with certain cues, dive into your own video and like look at how you move, and maybe it'll help you form a new cue, or look at other coaches and try to use as many resources around you in order to kind of dig yourself out of that hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I think we need to look at this each year. I think we need to really step back and look at these pieces every single year to realize like, hey, am I doing what I want to do? Am I doing it how I want to do it? Am I getting what I need from it? Am I improving? Am I progressing? Am I learning new things? Am I forcing myself to coach and be coached type deal? And I think I kind of said this already, but my hot take for today is like, if you improve as a coach, I really don't think, you know, outside of like the basics of business, like how is someone going to pay you? How are you getting your money, your bank account, that sort of thing. I just don't think you need to focus that much on the business side of things because, you know, obviously, like I said, it doesn't hurt to focus on your business. But as a coach, I think too many of us are so focused on like lead generation and, you know, getting all these certain business things in the mix in that $10,000 month, which is, again, it'll come if you're doing these things. If you're really, truly becoming a good coach, one, you're going to have more opportunities than just to coach people, right? Two, you're going to have a bigger purpose than just to coach people, and you're going to lead others, and you're going to be able to kind of guide them on this path of whatever it might be. And I think that's really an important aspect of coaching is like, you know, you don't need to just focus on business. And I think right now in the industry, there is so many people that are just focusing on business and they need so much work on the coaching by itself. And yeah, they're getting those influxes of people. They're having these, you know, good, great months, but then they're falling off or they're it's just not sustaining. And again, I think if we actually look at what we see online, if we look at what we see on social media, half of those people are not doing what they say they're doing, or if they do, it's a flash in the pan type deal. And I know there's definitely people who are great coaches because I've been around them. And when you see them, you know, when you see their work ethic, when you see the things that they do and the way that they speak, it's different. And I'm always trying and wanting to be one of those people.
Yeah, I think that we as coaches in the industry need to take a step back, and obviously the selling and business side of thing is important because that's how you continue to grow and make money and live. But I think that all of the coaches who are coaches and not just salesmen need to step back and really get a wide perspective on things and find out how to stand out in the industry in a way that isn't just like, what's my selling technique? What's this? What's that? But instead, it's the knowledge that we carry and really separating ourselves from the people who have no clue what they're doing to the people who do. Because the amount of times that I've walked into commercial gyms or really any facility, and everyone's talking, oh, like, oh yeah, that trainer's top dog type of thing. And you look at what they're doing or like how they coach, and they're sitting down and eating meal prep in the middle of their session. They're
I
training.
saw that today, bro.
Bro, it drives me crazy. I see
He's
it
sitting,
every
like,
day at the
eating,
gym I
like,
work out at.
yeah, he's literally eating like a full meal while this dude's like overhead pressing. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you
It's
doing?
like, what are you doing? Like, get fucked, kid. And then, like, the other thing that bothers me too is like, especially at the gym that I'm working out at right now, is these head honcho guys are fucking passing their vials in their backpack and doing the underhand toss, the good old, hey, you take this type of thing. I've seen it, and it's like, all right, well, that's why you look the way you look. It's not because you're training 3 people and being like, yeah, you got 3 sets of 10. And then you walk across the gym looking at your phone, you're doing whatever. And then you look up and you're like, maybe add more weight. No, yeah, it's 3 sets of 10. And then they walk over to to another person. They're training 3 people at once, just going, yeah, you do this. And then they walk over, yeah, do another set and then go do presses. And that is like the quality of coach that I find everywhere in LA. Don't even get me started on the client base in LA. But either way, I think that we as coaches need to really like be the best coach that you can be, not only for yourself, not only for your clients, but for the people who don't know who you are yet, your future clients who are looking at you right now, training people and haven't come up to you, but they're thinking about it, or you haven't had that conversation that gets them to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I will try a session with you. Because as soon as you start becoming the better coach from these audits that you can be, everything will fall in place, because people are going to notice that you're doing shit that other people aren't, and you're doing it right.
Exactly. So, I think that's it. And I think if you haven't, so there's 2 things I want to end this with. One is, if you haven't, there's a book called, I think it's Your Best Year Yet. It was actually, let me look. I think I have it over here. Hold on.
Do you have a matching pair of sweats too?
What'd you
Is
say?
that what I just saw? Besides
Yeah, I
your
got
dump truck, was that a matching pair of sweats? Nice,
Yeah, I got
bro.
Yeah,
I like it.
I got like 3 UFC sweatsuits, so
Attaboy.
I've been wearing them. Nick's been complimenting me. He's like, "Wow, nice sweatsuit." I'm like,
It sounds sarcastic, but he actually means it.
Yeah,
Nice sweatshirt.
I don't have it up here. I don't know where I put it, but I think it's Your Best Year Yet. Great book. It's mainly like a personal book about improving your year from year to year, like reflecting. And one of the things, if you want to read that book, I think that's a great book personally. But one of the things that I'm going to include in the BG Perform newsletter this week is a personal training Your Best Year Yet one note sheet. So I'm going to kind of take that framework and I'm going to change it a little bit for personal training. And I want you guys to use that for the rest of this year and really go through it and actually like utilize it to see where you're at, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and you know, see where you can improve, right? Because I just think if you can do this in the right way, like your coaching is going to improve and like you're going to enjoy this more, and it's just going to make this a more, you know, fulfilling career. So if you haven't yet, go to www.bgperform.com and there's going to be a newsletter. Sign up on there. You can sign up on there. I'll get your email, get you all set up there. And this Friday coming up from when I post this podcast, which would probably be, what's going to be the date?
This Friday, the 9th or 17th.
No. This will be next week. So the 24th.
Oh, next Friday.
Yeah. So the 24th in my weekly newsletter, there's going to be a download sheet for you to download the, Your Best Year Yet personal training version, or the BG Perform version of that. So I think that's it for me. I know it's a little bit short, but I think we covered a lot inside of this, and I think we were very effective with that. Is there anything you want to add to the end here, Jerry?
Nothing else to add. Just continue to grow as a coach, and don't be a salesman scumbag only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
So
good season.
I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening to season 2. Season 2 really was focused on the coach and trying to improve the coach's, you know, really career, right? The coach's playbook was kind of like the idea we had when we first laid this out. And this was really just for coaches who wanted to master their craft, elevate their athletes, and really just like build careers that last. And we tried a couple new things in this season, which I really enjoyed and I thought went really well. And I'm excited about season 3. We got a couple topics we're going to decide on what we think is best to move forward with. I kind of want to just get into some like nitty gritty coaching for the next season. Just like, like I was like when I was studying for the CSCS type deal, get like real nerdy.
All right. Damn.
But I want to get into either that or like I think I want to get into something with the S&C side of it though. Like, maybe something in MMA, talk about MMA strength conditioning. Yeah, we'll see where we go from here. But me and Jerry are going to sit down. We're going to see what's going on. And yeah, if you haven't, last couple things, right? www.bgperform.com/goals. Go download the free ebook to help you get better with my fight camp framework that I built for you to decide how to get those goals, how you want to achieve them, and building a team around you. And always, if you want to go on www.bgperform.com for training, you can work with myself or Jerry and a bunch of different options, whether it's personal training in Albany or LA, online with myself or Jerry, or one of our perfectly designed general programs.
Oh,
For
yeah.
a very low price of $50 per month.
Wait, hold on.
What? Oh, yeah. One more.
No more. This is.
I said one more. Yeah. Rock on. Doyle rules.
Oh, Doyle rules.
I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see you guys next season. Peace.